I have with me Rajdeep Sardesai, who's joining us on this very, very hot and muggy afternoon, and Himanshu Mishra, covering the BJP and the Prime Minister's office. Rajdeep, what do you make of it? Yesterday, 454, historic numbers, just in terms of Lok Sabha, and one can't deny that in terms of the years that have gone into the making of this. There were two dissenting MPs, both of them from the AIMIM, Asauddin Owaisi and Imtiaz Jalil, and today the discussion on in Rajya Sabha.
You know, Preeti, reform in this country takes place often through accident and often through happy...
Serendipity is my word.
And offer some kind of happy coincidence.
Right.
In this particular instance, I think the Prime Minister chose his moment very well. You have to give Mr. Modi credit for his ability to choose the right moment to strike. He recognized elections for the 5 states are just a couple of months away. He recognized that the general elections are about 7-8 months away. This was probably the best moment.
Sorry, Preeti, I think the one thing that you've got to recognize is Prime Minister Modi knows which is the right moment to strike. And I think by happy coincidence, he chose a moment where the opposition also had no choice but to support the government. Elections for 5 states are just 2 months away. General elections are 7 months away. No one can ignore the Mahila vote bank. And the Prime Minister therefore picked his moment. Now you could argue why was there a need for a special session if this entire reservation process is to be deferred to post-census and delimitation. But this is where I think Prime Minister Modi has decided I want to capture the narrative first. Once I've captured the narrative, then implementation can happen at a later stage. But let's capture the narrative. We saw this to some extent with the Citizenship Amendment Act. It was done even though there was a huge question mark, and even till today it's not been notified, because the government of the day felt this was the right moment to strike. Ditto with Article 370. The government had just won a big majority in the Lok Sabha. The opposition was demoralized. You went ahead with a contentious striking down effectively of Article 370, and they've done the same with women's reservation. The reason why it was 454-2 is no one wanted to be seen as anti-woman. You see, the way the Prime Minister positioned this bill has enabled him to push it through. But the real challenge now begins. Because my sense, talking to MPs, the male MPs are not happy. Let's be clear. The reason why the Prime Minister had to defer it is because he realized that there is a section of MPs who didn't want this bill for the 2024 elections at least. Delimitation was a good excuse to push it forward. So I think it's been very, very carefully orchestrated by the government. Whether it will actually be implemented in the next 5-10 years, we don't know what happens 5 years from now. Delimitation is a very hot potato when it comes in 2026. But for today, the narrative clearly is with the government by pushing through women's reservation.
But, the question I'll ask you, Rajdeep, and, I'll take it to Himanshu as well. Himanshu ji, एक बात तो चलिए मान लिया कि ये हिस्टोरिक है, आगे क्या होता है उसकी बात तो हम करेंगे, क्योंकि एक बहुत लंबा समय है जब तक ये बिल इम्प्लीमेंट होगा. पर सवाल ये भी है कि क्या कुछ और भी है सरप्राइज एलिमेंट, क्योंकि उस पे भी बहुत सस्पेंस रहा है कि एक सरप्राइज एलिमेंट होगा जो पॉलिटिकली एक्सप्लोसिव होगा, इंडिया अलायंस को बैकफुट पे करेगा. अब क्या वो महिला आरक्षण बिल था या कुछ और भी आने को है? अभी 2 दिन बचे हैं.
देखिए, ये तो कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है कि क्या आएगा नहीं आएगा, लेकिन मुझे ये लगता है, जो मेरी पॉलिटिकली सेंस कहती है कि अभी कुछ तरकश में एक तीर और बाकी है और वो होने वाला होगा. हो सकता है कि वो इस संसद के विशेष सत्र के बाद हो. और जो बात राजदीप कह रहे थे वो ठीक है कि बीजेपी को भी एक इंटरनल डर था कि उनके जो सांसद हैं, जो मेल सांसद हैं, वो अगर ये बिल 24 के लिए लेके आते तो उनके लिए दिक्कत होती. और इसीलिए सेंसस जो 2021 में होना था, कोविड के कारण नहीं हो पाया, उसको डिले किया गया और अभी तक नहीं हुआ. और कल गृह मंत्री ने ये बात लोकसभा में कह भी दी कि 2024 के लोकसभा चुनाव के बाद ही जो है वो सेंसस होगा. तो ये मान के चला जा सकता है उसके बाद डिलिमिटेशन होगा. डिलिमिटेशन में बहुत टाइम लगता है, ये बात ठीक है. लेकिन बीजेपी ने एक बहुत अच्छी चालाकी से एक स्टेप उठा लिया. शायद मुझे लगता है अपोजिशन उसको नहीं पकड़ पाया. और जो बात राजदीप भी कह रहे थे कि डिलिमिटेशन में जो है नंबर ऑफ सीट्स बढ़ जाएंगी. जब नंबर ऑफ सीट्स बढ़ जाएंगी तो जो मेल पुरुष अभी हैं या जितनी सीटें हैं उतनी ही रहेंगी. तो वो जो नंबर ऑफ सीट्स बढ़ेंगी वो फीमेल्स के लिए हो जाएंगी, जो मेरा को लगता है पॉलिटिकली सेंस से मुझे लगता है. और नंबर ऑफ सीट्स बढ़ेंगी तो हो सकता है डिलिमिटेशन में कुछ सीटें खत्म होती हैं, कुछ नई सीटें बनती हैं, उन समीकरणों को ध्यान में रखते हुए पुरुष सांसदों के लिए वो बहुत ज्यादा दिक्कत वाला नहीं रहने वाला है।
ये बात सही है, लेकिन नो, द प्रॉब्लम हिमांशु भाई अबाउट डिलिमिटेशन इज सिंपली
South states, will they allow it?
सदर्न स्टेट।
कल अमित शाह ने ये भी कहा कि साउथ स्टेट्स का ध्यान रखा जाएगा, जो जिन लोगों ने, जिन स्टेट्स ने पॉपुलेशन को कंट्रोल किया है साउथ के, उनके साथ अन्याय नहीं होगा डिलिमिटेशन में। ये
पर 2 साल लग गए जम्मू कश्मीर की डिलिमिटेशन होने
बिल्कुल
में।
फैक्ट है।
कितना
और ये
टाइम
बात
लगेगा अगर हम
राजदीप
पूरे इंडिया की बात करेंगे?
कितना लॉन्ग टाइम लगेगा इसका
देखिए,
कहना बड़ा आसान है।
देखिए
मुश्किल होगा।
एक कंफ्यूजन है। एज पर आर्टिकल 82-83, the first census after delimitation will be taken as the basis. Now, that means, would it be a census that you do post 2026, or will it be the census you do in 2025 and you start with delimitation in 2026? If you start with do the census of 2025 as the basis and then delimitation, possibly by 2029 you can have some form of 33% reservation in place. If it is the first census post 2026 and that census only starts after 2026, then you are looking at 2034 at the earliest. So either way it has been pushed forward. Delimitation will not be easy, Preeti. The Home Minister has assured the southern states that their interests will be looked after. I was in Kerala a few months ago and every speaker from different southern states at the South Conclave of India today said, on delimitation we will raise a
It's going to
common
be a
flag.
battle fought in court.